nobody there. Sky is falling, metal rain, chaos mornings, no one's sane. Crumbling towers, streets in flames, forgotten heroes, who knows their names. Broken future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello friends, this is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today is May 15th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. We have quite a bit to get to today. As per usual for you, Trump admits that Iran nuke threat is propaganda, PR, essentially. And so all of this is just nonsense. Trump is profiteering handsomely. We have more fallout from the China trip. Trump admits that, yeah, we attacked Iran for aardvark land, as we continue to report here, as per the State Department. We've got Iran's reply here now. Iran's reply to all of this. Iran's foreign minister says no trust in U.S. talks. Shocking, I know. We're going to cover all this as there's reports. We're going back in heavy to Iran on day 77 of Iran war. We're going to cover all of that for you. I'm going to cover a little bit about Massie race over there in Kentucky. As it appears, AIPAC's throwing the kitchen sink at him, and MAGA as well. So all odds against Thomas Massie in his House race there in Kentucky. We'll take a look at that. We have more Epstein reporting. We got a bunch of economic reporting. It certainly appears Trump's doing insider trading, rigging the market, profiteering handsomely, as Main Street is slipping into a recession. We have geopolitical news. Looks like we're taking over Cuba here now. There's a secret war going on in Mexico, Central and South America, and the Caribbean for that matter. And the ongoing demolition of Lebanon continues, and the genocide in Gaza continues. We have all that reporting for you today. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Let's get to this day in history. On this day of May 15th, let me check in on the chat real quick. Oh, Plutonium is there in the YouTube. Hello. Hello. All right, on this day in history of May 15th, we go back to the year 1672. We saw the first copyright law enacted in Massachusetts. Now you play 1 second of anything, even if it's totally fair use, you get tagged with copyright. They're abusing it now, aren't they? On this day, 1718, London lawyer James Plunk patents the world's first machine gun. 1829, on this day, Joseph Smith ordained by John the Baptist, according to Joseph Smith. 1869, on this day, we saw National Woman Suffrage Association formed in New York by Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, fighting for the woman's rights there to vote. Everybody has the right to vote. Whoop-de-doo. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Good job there, though. Hey. On this day in 1882, May laws, Russian Tsar Alexander III bans aardvarks from living in rural Romania, noticing that something was not quite right with these aardvarks. They should have held on to that mindset, as they went on to be overthrown by many aardvarks. 1905, on this day, Las Vegas was founded in Nevada. On this day in 1911, the Supreme Court dissolved Standard Oil, breaking up the monopoly using the Sherman Antitrust Act. A lot of good that did. It just they just spun off into a bunch of other companies and continued on with the Rockefeller oil oligarchy. We can see it in the price of gas today. We'll cover that in the economic section. On this day in 1916, claiming that the United States must act to quell dangerous disorder, the government orders U.S. Marines to land in Santo Domingo. The American occupation lasted until 1924. So, 8 years to quell dangerous disorder there. But of course, as it says in the Constitution, we are police of the world. On this day in 1918, we saw the end of the Finnish Civil War. On this day in 1928, Mickey Mouse makes his first appearance in the silent film Plane Crazy. 1934, on this day, U.S. Department of Justice offers a $25,000 reward for John Dillinger, wanted dead or alive. On this day in 1951, we saw the first vaginoplasty procedure, sex reassignment surgery in the UK, performed on Roberta Cowell by surgeon Harold Gillies. On this day in 1962, U.S. Marines arrive in Laos. And on this day in 1991, Manuel Noriega, president of Panama, snatched up by America, charged with being a big bad guy, a narco trafficker. We see that same routine playing out today with Maduro, and now they're looking to target Castro out of Cuba. But on this day in 1991, Noriega's defense releases a document claiming Noriega is a CIA man in Panama. Indeed, he is. And so this continuing theme is you go work for the U.S. government, for the CIA as a foreign dictator, and then they get tired of you. You don't do what they say. You piss somebody off, and then they arrest your butt and throw you in prison and may very well execute you. And that's a continuing theme we see played out working with the U.S. government and the CIA intelligence agencies for many of these puppet dictators put in there. The crime racket runs the course. And of course, old Noriega is the bad guy working for the CIA. Same thing's playing out in Cuba right now as we speak, and in many other locations. Let's take a look at our civil liberties history. On this day in 1923, in our civil liberties history, Upton Sinclair is arrested in Los Angeles for reading the Bill of Rights. The famous novelist Upton Sinclair was arrested while reading the Bill of Rights on Liberty Hill in San Pedro, California, on this day at a rally in support of striking marine transport workers associated with the radical World War I. The strike had idled about 90 ships in the LA harbor. Sinclair had just begun to read the Bill of Rights when he was arrested, and a police officer exclaimed, "We'll have none of that Constitution stuff." Back the blue, bro. It's Law Enforcement Week. The White House is celebrating it. Back the blue, bro. We'll have none of that Constitution stuff. And on this day in 1982, we saw International Conscientious Objection Day. a special day to commemorate conscientious objection to war began on this day as European Conscientious Objection Day. In 2001, the group War Resisters International marked it as an International Conscientious Objection Day. The United States conscientious objection was a major controversy in World War I, World War II, and Vietnam. It should no longer be a controversy. I mean, war's a racket, and wow, you support U.S. imperialism, gangster capitalism, running around killing everyone? Wow. It shouldn't even be an argument at this point. And here's our segue to the news. Trump tells CIA Hannity on the War Channel exactly why we're in the Iran war. Take a listen.
We're doing it to help Israel and to help Saudi Arabia and to help Qatar and UAE and, Kuwait and other countries.
So we're helping. We're helping. Not really so much, though, are we? Doesn't seem so. We'll get to more reporting on that. Here's from the White House, Hollywood-style production level value here from China. So Trump literally accomplished nothing on this trip except for be embarrassed by China. Trump put this out. China has a ballroom. He's still all obsessed with the ballroom. China has a ballroom, and so should USA. It's under construction ahead of schedule and will be the finest facility of its kind anywhere in the U.S. Yeah, because they're going to have underground tunnels there. It's a bunker system. It probably hooks up with deep underground military bases. And so when they piss off the world to the point where they're going to attack us, the clowns that did it are going to be safe in their underground bunker. The rest of us are going to be hung out to dry. Not really very flattering. This was posted by the White House. Yeah. Sadly, Chinese President Xi is showing Trump the way. It's very sad. We're in a new era, a new world order, as we continue to report here. Here's Trump on the Taiwan question.
President Xi and I talked a lot about Taiwan. He thinks they cannot have anything to do with what they're doing. I mean, he's against very much what they're doing. We talked about Taiwan, we talked about Iran a lot, and I think we have a very good understanding with both. On Taiwan, he does not want to see a fight for independence because that would be a very strong confrontation. And I heard him out. Are you going to say you're worried? No, I didn't make a comment on it. I heard him out. I have a lot of respect for him.
Trump won't even comment on Taiwan. 2G getting punked, straight punked. Trump is getting straight punked. And that's the reality of the situation. Sorry to report to you here, MAGA. Here's a report out of Bloomberg. Says it all right here. Trump says he wants Iran's uranium mostly for public relations. Translation, propaganda. President Trump said the U.S. objective of recovering highly enriched uranium from Iran was, quote, more for public relations than it is for anything else, while reiterating his commitment to remove the nuclear material. It's literally propaganda and lies. And he's even admitting it. Here's Trump on Iran's latest proposal.
Have you rejected the latest proposal from Iran, or where does that stand?
I looked at it, and if I don't like the first sentence, I just throw it away.
What was the first sentence?
He reads the first sentence of their peace proposal and throws it away if he doesn't like it. So we're down to, he reads one page or one paragraph of briefing documents. And now we're down to, he reads the first sentence. Do we even believe that? I'm having a hard time believing he even reads the first sentence. Here's Trump selling out America to China. Go MAGA, wave your flag, and all the rest of the BS.
I would assume I'm in Beijing. If I wanted to buy property near one of their military installations, I don't think President Xi...
They wouldn't let you. I don't, look, it's not that I love it. You want to see farm prices drop? You want to see farmers lose a lot of money? Just take that out of the market. But they've had a lot of land for a long time. Obama did nothing about it. They bought a lot of it during the Obama administration. He did nothing about it. As far as the students, it's 500,000 students they come, good students. I could tell them, I don't want any students, is a very insulting thing to say to a country. They would then immediately go out and start building universities all over China. But if you don't have those students, good students, by the way, if you don't, and we do another thing, you know, if they're good and they want to stay in America, we won't give them a green card and things like that. You know, and that, not only them, but other countries. But if you want to see a university system die, take 500,000 people out of it. And you know, the ones that won't be hurt are the top schools. The top schools will do fine, but
500,000 Chinese students here are U.S. universities die, according to Trump. Well, if that's the case, then let them die. But there you go, selling out America to 500,000 foreign Chinese students and making excuses for China about it. It's really sad state of affairs here for Mr. America Trump. Iranian foreign minister says no trust in talks with U.S., declares Hormuz open to all nations except those waging war on Tehran. Odysee, this report out of the Cradle. It's being widely reported, though. Iran says it has no trust in U.S. as peace talks stall. Iran has no trust in the United States and is willing to negotiate with Washington only if it demonstrates seriousness. Well, there is no seriousness out of these clowns. So, again, like we talked about yesterday, China, Iran, like the whole rest of the world, up here, PhD level academics negotiating diplomacy. We're down here, UFC fighting on the White House lawn, and Trump never-ending propaganda and lies. And the rest of the world is just looking at us like, what the hell, man? You know what I mean? It's an embarrassment. It's a freaking embarrassment. Iran's foreign minister Odysee said, we absolutely cannot trust the Americans. That is why everything must be specified and clarified before any agreement. I don't know what could make them think that. Every time they send a negotiator, they whack them. They're freaking, it's insane. Okay? It's insane. I know, but he's a dirty Iranian terrorist, but it's still insane. U.S. diplomacy is literally insane. Because they don't want peace. Okay, all this is designed to cause friction and more war. It's pretty damn obvious when you send freaking Witkoff and Kushner as the head negotiators. It's clown world, and people are dying, and we're freaking going bankrupt over all this nonsense. So the freaking very small insiders can make $1 gazillion, and the whole rest of the world gets effed over by these freaking criminals. More from foreign minister out of Iran. Argachai says, we know that there are spoilers who tried to derail diplomacy, warmongers who want to drag the U.S. again into another war. I hope wisdom and diplomacy will finally prevail. Well, that sounds like a threat to me from this dirty terrorist Argachai, foreign minister out of Iran, right? Sure. He also went on to say that if they want to go back to war, it's up to them. They've tested us. They can test us again, but the result would not be any different. Old Argachai here. This dude. Surprised they haven't whacked this dude, honestly. They've been trying. They've been trying. So that's where we're at. And there's a bunch of reports out there. I think we got them. There's a bunch of reports out there that we're gearing up to go back into Iran heavy at any time now. So be on the lookout for that. It may very well happen this weekend, as Trump likes to do bombing campaigns when the market is closed, because then he has more time to cook up his schemes of manipulation here now, obviously. Okay, moving on to let's take a look at Thomas Massie and what's going on here back in his Kentucky district. It looks like the establishment is throwing the kitchen sink at him. AIPAC, all these other aardvark donors, Miriam Adelson, Paul Singer, have poured millions of dollars into the May 19th primary there in Kentucky between Thomas Massie and challenger Ed Gallrain. More than $29 million has been spent on advertising alone, making it the most expensive House primary in history. What a waste of freaking money. Massie was interviewed earlier today by Drop Site News. Let's take a look at that clip.
Maybe Miriam Adelson and Paul Singer didn't particularly go to Epstein Island. They probably have enough money to buy their own islands. But they certainly go to dinner with the people that were at Epstein Island.
Israel interests?
Of course. Like Jeffrey Epstein was part of Mossad's operations and even our own.
Congressman, do you think that all of this money that AIPAC and other pro-Israel donors are pouring into your race is equivalent to bribery? Is it quid pro quo?
Because it's all foreign interest money, I think it's a dangerous precedent. If this were people who cared about America and our Constitution and our infrastructure and our rule of law, that would be different, I think. But these folks are trying to send a message, which is if you're a Republican, you better do whatever Israel wants. And I think it's going to backfire on them. They're going all in. They've pushed all the chips in.
Right, Bob? I'm getting pretty triggered here, too. We need to definitely let the ADL know about this, right? Yeah. That triggered the hell out of me. Here's more from Massie.
Unfortunately, it's turned into whether Israel gets to buy seats in Congress. And what they found out is that my seats are really expensive. They probably, when this is over, will have spent $20 million and come up short.
So why is Israel the only country that gets to buy elections in the United States? Or does any other country get to?
I've never seen Great Britain or Australia or even Germany play in our elections here in the United States, but Israel gets so much from the United States. It's a one-sided relationship. They get us to be their proxies in wars that they want against their enemies. They get our military assistance, they get our technology, they get our bombs, they get our tax dollars. And I think it's a very one-sided relationship. At least with NATO, we pretend that they would come to our aid someday if we needed it. And even that's a ruse, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's Massie bad. There's more from Massie. Oh, no, this is an opponent, actually. He wants to bring back the draft. And so that would be appropriate to go fight for aardvark land. And every young American deserves to be drafted and go die in a legal foreign war of aggression for religious fanatical maniacs.
In 1973, we moved away from conscription selective service and went to the all-volunteer force.
Right.
And so that's been the most challenging few years since that transition, and that is a significant issue for national security. And now back to the question about selective service and the attitudes about it. I would offer there is a cultural issue, and that it does appear we have a corrosion of our culture and the commitment to what our nation stands for. If you figure, we got to start selective service, we got to get them through all the in-processing, boot camp, training, you're talking months downstream. Do we really have that time anymore?
No.
Is that a deeply flawed concept?
Yeah.
And so what would really happen if we had to go from what I call a cold start of a pending world war? How fast, and what would really happen if we had to re-implement selective service, i.e. the draft, train, equip, and prepare to deploy those forces? I'm not sure we have that kind of time anymore.
Right.
There's a speed and lethality. We want to stay in deterrence. I'm not so sure that we're on as high ground in deterrence as we could be with sort of the way things are unfolding relative to our ability to field combat power.
U.S. Cares Veteran and Family Support System. Yeah, line up the youth of America to go get killed and blown up, and the whole routine with PTSD and the rest of it. That dude running against Massie, Ed Galrain, him and his family are not going to go fight in these illegal foreign wars of aggression for the Zionist entity, are they? No, they're not. Last clip from Massie here now. Says they're targeting him, which is pretty obvious here now. He's pissed off. He's pissed off all of the traitors, and he is the consummate foil to Trump.
That the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is coming to intervene in my campaign. Look, dogs don't bark at parked cars. And the fact that you got cabinet secretaries that may be coming to my district to campaign against me during a war, the Secretary of War during a war, shows how serious this is to the global elites that I lose. And that's why it's so serious that I do win. If there's going to be any hope in Washington, D.C., if there's going to be any voice, anybody that ever challenges the narrative, whether it's on war or whether it's on immunity for companies, whether they're data centers or whether they're pesticide manufacturers. Look, there's all kinds of cronies that, not just the foreign influence cronies, but corporate cronies on the meatpacking industry. And you'll see occasional fake fights where Republicans may engage in a fake fight, and then I show it's all fake. And that's why they hate me for breathing.
Oh my gosh, it's so ridiculous. But hey, Trump put out this post, and this is what we should be worshiping, actually. This is a statue now standing at Doral that was commissioned by a large group of political supporters who just wanted a statue of yours truly. I very much appreciate their support and all they went through to get it done. They are very good people. Those playing the Blue Monster at Doral are absolutely in love with it. Wowzers. And Brock Pierce at the ribbon cutting ceremony there, all up in Epstein files. Iced out meme out of the White House. Really? Iced out? MAGA? By the way, diamonds are semi-precious stone. Don't fall for the diamond scam. Propped up by the De Beers diamond cartel, creating artificial scarcity in the market. Look into that before you buy your next diamond out there. Federal judge orders Trump administration to return Colombian woman deported to Congo. A federal judge ruled that the Trump administration likely violated the law by deporting a 55-year-old woman, Andrea Zapata, to the Democratic Republic of Congo in April, even after Congolese authorities refused because it could not provide her with adequate medical care. Zapata had been granted legal protection against being deported to her home country because her former partner, whom she accused of raping and beating her, was tied to Colombia's national police force. The judge ordered she be returned to the United States today. Little bit. We're not getting mass deportation. I mean, that ship sailed. So, okay, on to where are we at here? We're doing pretty good on time. When they say worshiping the golden calf, you better worship Trump golden statue. Are you a Iranian terrorist? Harvey Weinstein, part of the Steen network, Epstein, Weinstein, are noticing a trend here. Anyhow, judge declares mistrial on Harvey Weinstein's rape retrial in New York after jury is deadlocked. Harvey Weinstein's third New York City sex crimes trial ends in a mistrial after surprise jury note. Harvey Weinstein sex crimes trial appeal ended in a mistrial earlier today after the jury couldn't unanimously decide whether to convict the ex-Miramar boss of allegedly raping actress Jessica Mann in 2013. Supreme Court judge in Manhattan, Curtis Farber, declared a mistrial, marking the second time a jury couldn't reach a unanimous verdict on Mann's allegations. Early yesterday morning, the jury had sent a note saying it could not reach a unanimous decision, which prompted the judge to issue an Allen charge instructing the panelists to continue their deliberations. But jurors sent another note at the lunch break saying they couldn't reach an agreement. We feel no one is going to change where they stand, the note read, and a mistrial was declared there for old Harvey Weinstein and his raping ways. More Epstein reportings here now. This one, another one for people to look at. On the left is Kira Dirk Tyrer, this woman right here, and a prolific recruiter of at least 40 young women for Epstein. In the middle is Zampoli, the guy who introduced Donald Trump to Melania, and on the right, an Epstein victim. So there you go. The Epstein trafficking operation was recruiting girls directly through Twitter trafficking, according to testimony by protected co-conspirator Andrea Ross. And here's that. Redacted research girls on Twitter. One girl named Redacted was 17 in New York City. Hell is empty. The demons are hiding behind redactions in the Epstein files. One post said, Amber Wood post there on the X. Yeah. Here's some of these Democrats on the House Oversight Committee.
Now, you may have heard that former AG Pam Bondi has been actively trying to not come in, not answer our questions, and she doesn't want them under oath.
But oversight Dems have refused to let her get away with it. And now she's scheduled to speak with us at the end of the month.
And the American people deserve to hear what Bondi has to say.
But congressional Republicans are trying to let her testify behind closed doors, limiting transparency. That's insane. We demand that Bondi's testimony not only be transcribed, but filmed and released to the public.
Now, Republicans might think that we'll let up on our demands for transparency around the files or justice for survivors.
But as we have said time and time again,
our work is just getting started.
But the Dow's over 50. Is it over 50? I don't think it's gone over 50,000 since Bondi had that outburst. Let's just take a look here quickly. Yeah, the Dow's still under 50. So anytime the DOJ could go ahead and arrest those Epstein co-conspirators. Turns out they got a bunch of them got inside secret deals. In 2017, Epstein paid $50,000 for 10 seats at the UJA Wall Street dinner honoring Howard Lutnick. Right here. They're dirty as the day is long here now. Your Commerce Secretary and mine, Howard Lutnick. Cantor Fitzgerald. Right there. And so old Lutnick is all up in it. Here's a report on Howard Lutnick's testimony. Certain answers he gave are setting off alarm bells. Let's watch this report.
Jeffrey Epstein's former neighbor, aka Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, talked to the Oversight Committee last week, and we just got the transcript. The big takeaway for me is what he wouldn't say about President Trump. During his interview, Lutnick comfortably and clearly denied he's ever talked about the Epstein case with former Attorney General Pam Bondi or acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. He also said he's never discussed with any administration official the contents of the Epstein files, the redaction made to those files, the process for DOJ's review and release of the files, the timing of their release, and so on. But when asked if he's ever talked about the Epstein case with Trump, he says he's not going to discuss conversations he may or may not have had with the president. And then zoom forward a few pages where he says he won't go there, even for periods of time when Trump was out of office. It's important to note, Secretary Lutnick has denied any wrongdoing, and the White House has repeatedly denied Trump was involved in any misconduct relating to Jeffrey Epstein. But take it from this ex-lawyer, those answers from Lutnick are weird and potentially troubling for two reasons. First, if Lutnick and Trump never discussed Epstein, that's an easy question to answer, and with a single word. As I used to tell my clients preparing for testimony, no is a complete sentence. But second, if the two of them have talked about Epstein since Lutnick joined the cabinet, the White House could argue that such a conversation is protected by executive privilege. But conversations when both Lutnick and Trump were private citizens, there's no basis for Lutnick to refuse to answer those, and someone on the committee should have pressed him on it.
All-time classic here out of the Epstein files. We should probably never forget this one. Bill Gates discussed the murder of all poor people in the world with Epstein in 2011. Also, I've been thinking a lot about that question that you asked Bill Gates. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? And I have an answer comment regarding that for you. When can I call you today to discuss? And so we don't really know if this was Bill Gates. It's redacted, but they are talking about that conversation. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? All right, on to the economic section of the show. Today was Chairman Powell's last day as head of the Federal Reserve. And so he's out, and Kevin Warsh, whose father-in-law, Louder, they're all up in Epstein files, as we covered yesterday. And so the corruption will continue there at the Federal Reserve. A significant portion of U.S. families are effectively living in a recession. Moody's chief economist said earlier today, Main Street is in a recession. They don't care because they're stealing everything they can, and never-ending flow of propaganda and lies, and apparently MAGA loves it. So have fun eating silicon. U.S. farm bankruptcies increased 46% year over year in 2025 to 315 filings. The Midwest and Southeast were the hardest hit, with filings up roughly 70% in each region, per the American Farm Bureau Federation. It's the golden age, bro. Here's some, what do they call it? Shrinkflation. Well, this report's saying that they're, that items in the store are being sold at a higher weight than they are actually weighing. And so we're being ripped off in this way. Let's watch this scam report. Things are being over labeled as weighing more than they actually are, and being charged at that cost when the product doesn't weigh that much. So scam going on at your retail grocers. Let's watch this report.
It's real money for us, but it's big money for them.
It is. It's big money and profit.
Jimmy agreed to show me how it's done.
You want to try it?
I'll throw it on there.
Yeah, go ahead.
But each Domino powdered sugar bag we pulled off the shelf at this store was about an ounce under.
It's happening everywhere. I'm just one guy.
This brisket's supposed to be 4.6 pounds. So I set off to test myself. Oh, Kentucky legend. Walmart's, Kroger's, and Publix across Cobb and DeKalb counties. We stopped in Dollar General and Piggly Wiggly, too. We followed Jimmy's method. $40. Whew. Pulling products off the shelves for a quick spot test with our scale. Look at these frozen shrimp from Walmart, a 2-pound bag. Jimmy, in repeated tests, found them underweight. So we grabbed bags from 2 different Walmart locations. The FDA says the weight is calculated deglazed. That means without all that ice. But both bags we tested were not what they claimed on the package. Our scale showed both a 1/4 pound under the weight printed on the bag. What about some shrimp and grits? It's about an ounce under. It's an ounce under. These grits were on sale at a DeKalb Piggly Wiggly, but each bag we pulled off the shelf was underweight. So how and why is it happening?
It's lack of vigilance.
Emory Goizetta Business School professor Salani Farasta Fazzoni is an expert on pricing.
So both from an ethical standpoint as well as from a legal standpoint, they're misrepresenting what they're selling.
She says research has shown shoppers won't notice differences under 15% in price or size. After Jimmy's TikToks went viral, Kentucky legend Ham pulled some hams from Walmart. Jimmy started this because money was tight. Now he's hoping to push big companies to do better.
So they should be responsible for what they're selling in their stores.
Domino told us their industrial scales are calibrated on an ongoing basis and they run spot checks on their lines daily. We also asked Walmart about those shrimp. A spokesperson told me they did audits on several lots and did not find any problems.
See, they found no problems as they continue to rip you off. Amazing. This was, I was following Simon's feed. This is very underreported. A 9-0 verdict that no one expected. The legal landscape for freight brokers just hit a massive sea shift. For the first time, brokers are being held to the same level of discernment as motor carriers hiring drivers. The reality, most brokers don't have the tools to define a, quote, safe motor carrier, yet they're now legally on the hook for it. Let's watch this short report.
This is something none of us expected. Like a 9-0 verdict, no one expected this. And now it is a sea shift. And many people say it's not a big deal. Other circuits have had this. It is totally different. We are going to look at brokers with the same level of discernment as we look at motor carriers hiring a driver. And again, brokers do not know what a safe motor carrier is. They have no capability of understanding that, but they're in that position now. So the next few months is going to be phenomenally interesting to see what happens to the brokers, if their insurance puts some of them out of business, or maybe we see the brokers get more into the assets. I mean, a lot of big brokers are running trailers, and I do love trailers. This is
According to a report out of Bloomberg, Trump's more than 3,700 trades astonish Wall Street insiders. And we know that because it was reported yesterday by the U.S. Office of Government Ethics. Big time insider tradings here. Trump disclosed over 3,700 trades in the first quarter of this year, 2026. Taxpayers to foot Trump's $1.7 billion bill as president sues his own government. Quote, "I'm paying myself," he said. Trump will drop. This is straight up racketeering. What Trump's doing. MAGA loves the never-ending crime spree of the government, apparently, and of Trump, but they're all criminals. Trump will drop his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS in exchange for a $1.7 billion taxpayer-funded payout to his business entities and allies who claim the Biden administration wrongfully targeted them. So it's straight up racketeering here now. Circle jerk of fraud that U.S. taxpayers pay for. And all these government clowns running around pointing the finger. At the end of the day, it's the government against the rest of us. They're stealing everything they possibly can as fast as they can. Vote harder, bro. Trump touted Palantir on True Social after buying the company's stock, records show. And so he does love the technocratic police state being built here now. Much of it already built. Key company in our dystopic technocracy, Palantir. And so Trump buys the stock and then goes and pumps it with some kind words and makes a whole bunch of money. It's called insider trading. It's called crime in your face, but yeah, who cares? You know what I mean? President Trump scooped up a share of artificial intelligence software maker Palantir weeks before he famously praised the stock on True Social. Trump also sold as much as $5 million worth of Palantir on February 10th and made several other sales of the stock. Along with Palantir, Trump bought shares of Nvidia, Apple, and Amazon during first 3 months of 2026. No conflict of interest. They just all have government contracts, and Trump does big press conferences saying how wonderful they all are pumping their stock. There's nothing to worry about here. It's all in America's national security interest. And so it's just absurd. It's absurd. Let's take a look at this little chart. You could see Trump buys some, talks them up. They go down a little bit, talks them up. You know what I mean? It's just clear market manipulation. And people are noticing it's extremely unusual. So there you go. What you hear out of you hear the talking point out of the shills, the MAGA shills. Trump is he gives his presidential salary away to charity. Yeah, because meantime, he's doing market manipulation, using the bully pulpit of the presidency to manipulate stock prices, and he's playing it coming and going. So save me how he's a great philanthropist donating his presidential salary to charity, because he's making millions, billions out the back door with his market manipulation. Trump has purchased up to $1 million worth of NVIDIA stock on January 6th. A week later, the Commerce Department officially approved the sale of NVIDIA chips to China. But this little scam that he pulled didn't quite work out so well for him on the NVIDIA stock. Trump confirmed today that China is refusing to buy NVIDIA chips because they are developing their own. This once again confirms the U.S. has lost the main bargaining card with China. Trump said, I have NVIDIA a much higher level than H200. China needs it. And yeah, it came up. They choose not to buy because they want to develop their own. I think something could happen on that. He has direct financial interest in negotiating alleged national security issues for the United States. This is freaking treason for his own self-interest here now. And got burned on that little scheme with NVIDIA stock by China. Why did all the powerful people, all the technocracy and military industrial complex CEOs go over there, which we covered all this week? Why did all these gazillionaire big dog CEOs go to China? Well, it's because China controls 70% of global extraction, 85% of refining, and 90% of permanent magnets, and 99% of dysporium and turbinium, without which no F-35 fighter jet can take flight, no MRI machine works, and no iPhone works. And the card with which the U.S. could blackmail China, semiconductors, is already completely exhausted. And so China is holding the actual physical rare earth materials in large part. It takes to manufacture many of these products coming out of Tesla, Apple, Boeing, and the rest. What Trump's bragging, he sold 200 Boeing jets. Whoop-de-friggin' do. Good for Boeing and their workers. But what about the rest of us, man? We're getting beat down here now as Trump keeps running inside schemes to profiteer for himself and his own organization. And the rest of America, good luck. Report out of Megatron on the X. He's reporting on Robert Pappy, professor out of the University of Chicago, said Xi Jinping is humiliating Trump and trying to pretend otherwise will only make things worse. First, Iranian negotiators refused to meet with Trump's envoys. Then, Fred Merz, the German chancellor, publicly stated that Trump is being humiliated. After that, Saudi Arabia began to distance itself from Trump. Trump is now facing a major crisis similar to Lyndon Baines Johnson crisis, the U.S. president in the 1960s who faced domestic and foreign political pressures due to the Vietnam War. And again, history doesn't repeat, but it certainly does rhyme. And we're seeing those same themes come up here now in regard to Trump's actions with Iran. Real pain coming. Iranian foreign minister to Americans, this was avoidable. Argajai says Americans are told that they must absorb rocketing cost of war of choice on Iran, put aside gas price hike and stock market bubble. Real pain begins when U.S. debt and mortgage rates start to jump. Auto loan delinquencies are already at a 30-year plus high. This was all avoidable, but we had to do it for Aardvark land because we were going to be nuked by Iran in 2 weeks, you see, even though today Trump admits it's all propaganda, PR, literally made up bullshit. So, yeah, this should really piss everyone off. And why is the cost of our petroleum so freaking high here? They keep telling us we rule the freaking world. Here's Energy Secretary Chris Wright. We rule the energy world, but yet we're getting price gouged into oblivion.
Yeah, I think a good chunk of that is President Trump's energy dominance agenda. And the world knows he's all in growing supply. The United States is going to grow our supply of crude oil and refined products. So while we have a temporary interruption, and it's a meaningful interruption, but to end Iran's threat of getting a nuclear weapon, that would be decades of threat to global energy markets, to peace and prosperity in the world. So President Trump's willing to lean in there. Yes, it's disruptive in the short term, but to end their ability to get a nuclear weapon and have the U.S.
Oh, it's worth it to live in poverty so Trump can pump Iran nuclear weapon propaganda. Here's Trump saying it. He said, Trump says higher gas prices is the price Americans must pay for Iran not having a nuclear weapon. It's literally made up bullshit. Trump's a criminal fleecing America.
Talk about the fact that somebody's paying $2.50 from, I had it down to $1.85 in Iowa a gallon. So now it's $4 and it's going to not be long. And as soon as the war ends, it's going to go down to lower than it was before. It's going to be very quick. And, when I explain it to people, all you have to do is say, do you think Iran, they're crazy, should have a nuclear weapon? Everybody says no. I said, well, then you think I'm doing the right thing. And I have no choice. The sad thing is that we had just broken every record on the stock market, as you know. I thought the market would go down 20, 25 points. It didn't. It's higher now than it was before we started.
All right. It's just such friggin' nonsense here. Manipulation. Again, the intelligence community said before all of this, Iran is not an imminent threat to the United States. Big reason why Joe Kent resigned. And also the U.S. State Department says that we're in this war for Aardvark land and for our own self-defense. Yeah, it's being reported widely here now, New York Times, widely in your Mockingbird media, that the Iran war could resume hot, next week, anytime, basically. Everybody's got their finger on the trigger right now. Aardvark land is itching to go back in there. Let's take a look at the national average for the price of a gallon of gasoline. As per usual here, we're at $4.52. And so it's worth it so Trump can sell propaganda and lies to the American people. Sure it is. Sure it is. $6.14 over here in California. Again, the difference in large part between California and the national average is California state gas tax and excise tax and other regulation fees put on the back of the consumer. But still, $4.52 is, well, it went down 1 cent from yesterday. So we're doing great there in the golden age of Trump's economy. It's quite horrific, actually. And then, as per usual here, tracking the Iran war energy cost burden on the American household here. From the Watson School of International and Public Affairs, it's looking ugly, man. It's looking ugly. Right here, you can see it's now up to, on average, $306.59 per U.S. household cost absorbed in gasoline and diesel due to the Iran war beginning on February 28th, 2026. And you could see the total consumer burden since the war started. That's 42 billion or 40.2 billion, excuse me. It's going to get there, right? And so it's going faster than the interest on the national debt. But it's worth it so Trump can sell us never-ending propaganda and lies and have gold statues, and so the DOJ can continue to cover up the Epstein files. It's all worth it, you see? It's all worth it. UAE accelerates new oil pipelines to bypass Strait of Hormuz. They're saying that project is slated to come online next year in 2027. Here's a little map. They're trying to do a workaround. Well, we won the Iran war 77 times. They're getting ready now to go in hot and heavy again on major bombing campaigns. Khomeini is still the supreme leader of Iran, of course, the son of the Whack Khomeini. And the Strait of Hormuz is double, triple, quadruple blockaded on every which way, and every freaking gun in the world is pointed there. So, yeah, we're winning, bro. We're really winning. Here's the Strait of Hormuz. We got a blockade here. We got a blockade here. All the guns pointed all right here. Try to drive by there, and you get whacked unless you get signed off on by Iran, or maybe America just whack you for the hell of it. I mean, man, what a freaking disaster this has all become. And again, millions in the third and fourth world are going to starve to death because of this. And tens of millions are going to be plunged into poverty, many here now in the United States. So forget the third and fourth world. We're in a Main Street recession here now caused by this nonsense that never even needed to happen. Let's take a live commercial break here now. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. I see that quite a few people have come into the chat there. We appreciate the new listeners. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com/shop. Get yourself a sticker over there. We have a few stickers. We have the holograph sticker, the white background sticker, and the clear sticker. This is the demo model. I'll get you a brand new one, but you can see clear. weaponizednews.com/shop. Go check out the store. The link's in the description below this video. We got stickers, t-shirts, baseball caps, coffee mugs, shot glasses, all kind of different gear over there. Go check it out. Support independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern time. weaponizednews.com. Give us a donation if you don't want to patron the store. Buy me a coffee, Cash App, Bitcoin wallet address, all in the description below this video. Become a paid subscriber at Weaponized News Substack channel. We give over everything away free there. I provide the full show. I think we're streaming live on Substack right now. A summary of the show and links to almost everything we talk about for documentation purposes, and so you can go research it more. Weaponized News Substack. It's all free. Show your support for the show and become a paid subscriber. Patron our store. We take donations. Any which way you choose to support us is much appreciated. Give us that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. All of that is free for you. I just gave you an hour of news coverage here and didn't even plug one time. So give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. And again, the links to almost everything we talk about. I saw somebody in the chat. Where did Trump say that? Well, I'll put the Bloomberg article link in Weaponized News Substack, and you can go read it for yourself there or search it out for yourself for that matter. But that's the value we're providing at Weaponized News Substack. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Welcome back to the second half of the show on this May 15th, 2026 edition. All right, moving on to, we got a secret war going on there as we're building the Greater North America Project. U.S. Southern Command, they're running reconnaissance missions, training missions all over South America and Central America right now. They're reporting they're running training exercises in El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Belize, the Dominican Republic. All that's going on very quietly, very quietly. Venezuela to restructure its $150 billion debt after restoring relations with the World Bank and the IMF. And every time I see this, it always reminds me of John Perkins, economic hitman. Go take a look at his work. He tells you exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing. They get these countries into debt and force them to hand over their natural resources in exchange for fiat debt. In the case of Venezuela, we just put a gun in their face and said, give it. We kidnapped the president, Maduro, there, and put a gun in everybody else's face and said, give us your oil and gold or you're next. And then on top of it, take some World Bank IMF debt because we care about the people of Venezuela, you see. It's a giant central banking cartel racketeering operation to steal natural resources from anybody that's under the thumb of IMF and World Bank debt. Again, take a look at John Perkins' Confessions of an Economic Hitman work, and you will understand the whole scam scheme they're running here now. Continuing, Justice Department aims to use terrorism laws to target Mexican officials. There's a secret war going on here, essentially. We're economically targeting them. We're targeting them through lawfare. And CIA some CIA guys just got whacked. They're in Mexico. Remember that story? In a new tactic, the Justice Department this week instructed federal prosecutors to build criminal drug cases against Mexican officials using terrorism statutes. And then they turn over that rock and they're like, well, you worked for the CIA. Well, they're like, yeah, bro. Thought you knew. Trump administration this week instructed federal prosecutors to use terrorism statutes to target Mexican officials complicit in the narcotics trade, a significant escalation in its campaign against drug trafficking from Mexico. So, yeah. The Justice Department directive, which had not previously been reported, comes 2 weeks after federal prosecutors in New York indicted the governor of Mexico's Sinaloa state, who is also a member of the country's governing party and 9 other current and former Mexican officials. Days earlier, the death of 2 CIA officers in a car crash in Mexico revealed a covert element of the White House clampdown on cartels. The CIA is there running the freaking cartels, or at least working with them. They're freaking one and the same. How many times do we got to cover this? U.S. plans to indict Cuba's Raul Castro, DOJ official says. And so they're all the bad narco drug traffickers, commies. We know that. But what about, well, they're getting rid of the competition. And as we covered at the very beginning, Noriega from Panama in 1991, it came out in his court hearing that he was working for the CIA. These guys about the same, you see. It's the same routine. Keeping us safe from once the operation, whatever, runs its course, then they say that's a bad terrorist, man. Getting you with drugs, nukes, whatever, fear-mongering they want to do on them. Time to pull that puppet out. He's the bad man, and that's the routine that we continually see here now. The United States plans to indict Cuba's Raul Castro. The U.S. Department of Justice said late yesterday, but Epstein co-conspirators running around free, laughing about all of it. But get that damn can't call me Raul Castro out of Cuba. The potential indictment of the 94-year-old former president of Cuba and brother of Fidel Castro is expected to focus on the downing of aircraft, a DOJ official said. CBS previously reported that the case relates to Cuba's deadly 1996 shoot-down of planes operated by humanitarian group Brothers to Rescue. Representatives of Cuba's foreign ministry did not immediately respond to a request for a comment about this report. So maybe go kidnap a 94-year-old dude. The U.S. and Cuba intensify negotiations as the island collapse deepens. The CIA posted on the X proudly that old Ratcliffe, head of the CIA, is there, quote, negotiating with Cuba as they're under this siege by the American military to block any fuel and other aid going into the island there. Now the CIA is there offering humanitarian aid. Did the CIA just take over Cuba? I don't know, but pretty concerning, I would say. CIA's there. They're posting this all over the place. They're not even making this secret. There you go. There's Ratcliffe negotiating with Cuba. Amazing. Cuba hosts CIA chief as U.S. blockade pushes island into worst blackout crisis in decades. A U.S. delegation led by CIA Director John Ratcliffe met Cuban Interior Ministry officials in Havana today or late last night amid a crushing U.S. blockade that has cut off the island nation's supply of oil and fuel. The CIA director reportedly delivered a message from Trump to top Cuban officials saying that Washington would seriously engage with the island's government on economic and security issues only if it makes fundamental changes. And that's being reported by Reuters. The official said Ratcliffe met Cuban officials, including security official and political advisor Rodriguez Castro, Interior Minister Casas, and head of the island's intelligence services. The Cuban government issued a statement late Thursday saying The meeting with U.S. officials made it possible to demonstrate categorically that Cuba does not constitute a threat to U.S. national security, nor are there any legitimate reasons to include it on the list of countries that allegedly sponsor terrorism. Yeah, who cares? They're going to nuke us. You know what I mean? I think Cuba was going to nuke us, bro. During the visit to Cuba, John Ratcliffe, let's see, any other, the key demand by America was for Cuba to shut down alleged Russian and Chinese intelligence listening posts on the island, which U.S. officials say are used to intercept American communications. Ratcliffe reportedly presented this as a major condition for improving relations with America. And that's a report out of the New York Times. Sounds like complete and utter bullshit to me. Report out of Drop Site News, U.S. agencies will operate from surveillance tower in Cholula, Mexico, despite recent unauthorized CIA presence in the Mexican state. Cholula officials will share intelligence data from surveillance cameras, license plate readers, drones, and helicopters with U.S. agencies. There's a war going on in Mexico right now. You better believe it. And then the Department of War here now. I grabbed this dystopia as the thumbnail for today's show. Catch at the very beginning here now. But video of the day from the Department of War. We are strengthening our arsenal of freedom. Take a look at this dystopia at the beginning. There you go.
The objective is rebuilding the arsenal of freedom. Rebuilding the arsenal of freedom. We're going to rebuild our military. It's going to be so big, so strong, so powerful. Nobody is going to mess with us. Believe me, nobody. With a magazine depth that makes sure that any fight we choose for that which is thrust upon us is an unfair battle.
I saw there's a comment, John on the YouTube says Cuba had no electricity to run any spy hardware. Right. Right. That, yeah. Oh man. Here's meme of the day out of the Department of War. Warfighter innovation. Warfighter innovation. Department of War enhances lethal strike capacity through partnerships with new entrants. And we continue to cover this, but the back end, less talked about companies here now. Androl, Co-Aspire, Lidos, Zone 5 will launch the low-cost containerized missile program, part of the arsenal of freedom here now. And the Department of War just goes through the details on these new contracts to build munitions. So, yeah, it's freaking awesome that our tax money is going to blow stuff up and kill people. It's just wonderful. The Russia-Ukraine war is still ongoing. It needs to stop. Trump promised if he was elected, it would end in 24 hours. That never happened. The war rages on there as there's a bunch of videos of Ukrainians being grabbed off the street and thrown into military service there. It's a meat grinder on both sides. It's horrific and needs to stop. YouTube, Putin's the most evil man in the world. Russia launches largest two-day aerial assault of the war, killing at least 27 across Ukraine. Russia has launched 1,567 drones and dozens of missiles against Ukraine since Wednesday, Reuters reported, in its largest assault since the start of the war in 2023. The attacks have killed at least 27 civilians, including 21 in Kiev, 3 of whom were children. One attack destroyed an entire section of a 9-story residential building. We covered that yesterday. So that war rages on. Here's Foreign Minister Lavrov out of Russia. He said, Kissinger, I believe, once said that Washington's relations with both Beijing and Moscow should always be better than relations between Beijing and Moscow themselves. This is the kind of game the Americans and colonial powers in general have played for many years, divide and rule. We know this game well. It is still very much alive in Western politics. Divide and conquer, balkanization, yeah. They keep running the same schemes because they work, you see, but Russia says they're hip to the game. There. Iraq got a new foreign minister. Iraq's Ali al-Zadi sworn in as prime minister. Iraq's youngest ever prime minister at 40 years old was sworn in yesterday. He's a businessman and academic with no prior government experience. He was backed by Trump over former prime minister al-Maliki, who is supportive of Iran. Iranian President Pezeshkian congratulated him, saying Iran would remain by Iraq's side on the path of development and the consolidation of security. Iraq's new prime minister pledged state control over weapons. And so is this going to kick off some type of civil war there in Iraq, or at least fighting with the different militia groups? In a government program submitted to Parliament, Zayedi outlined plans to, quote, reforming the security apparatus by restricting weapons to state control and strengthening the capabilities of the Iraqi security forces. So looks like they're going to have a some kind of showdown there with the state of Iraq and these militia groups running around there. Aardvark Land continues to exploit Damascus vacuum to intensify strikes on southern Syria. Aardvark Land artillery shelling pounded the western countryside of Dara earlier today as it continues to treat the Syrian frontier as its personal expansion zone. So they're going to take Syria, part of it, at least all of it, if they think they could. Lebanon, Gaza, occupied West Bank. They even want some of Jordan and Jerusalem. And so it's part of the greater Aardvark Land project there. Now, ongoing attacks against Syria, that report out of the Cradle. For the first time in 61 years, Ireland isn't at Eurovision, and it isn't watching either. 5 European countries are now boycotting Eurovision due to Aardvark Land participation. Ireland, Spain, Slovenia, Netherlands, and Iceland are, well, let's take a look at this graphic and you can see the details there out of Eurovision. Full boycott by Ireland, full boycott by Spain, full boycott by Slovenia, Netherlands partial. They will not participate, but they will broadcast the show. And Iceland withdrew its entry, but will broadcast the show there. RTE cited the appalling loss of life in Gaza as the reason for boycotting. Well, they're antiseptics and should probably be sanctioned drone, right? Yeah, well, that's the treatment that anybody noticing that, hey, they're whacking all those people for no good reason. Well, damn terrorists, right? So we'll see how this sorts out. They probably will suffer repercussions here now for the boycott. Laughably enough and tragically enough, Lebanon and Aardvarkland have extended their ceasefire by 45 days, which quite literally means nothing, as Aardvarkland is on a massacre killing spree in southern Lebanon as we speak. Here's images earlier today out of the cradle, southern Lebanon. Yeah, they're leveling the place in a demolition campaign as we continue to report here. And we have a bunch of still photos and video of it, and it just goes on and on and on. As over 1 million Lebanese have been displaced, they're carrying out ethnic cleansing program, a war crime in southern Lebanon right now. More images here earlier today. There you go. And it goes on and on and on. They're leveling the place. Here's some video out of southern Lebanon. Quite horrific. A man carrying his daughter after they bomb the place.
الشارع العام قد جمع الوحدة وعطوا إسعافات لأن في عالم بعضها هون. تعال. الله أكبر جيبوا إسعافات.
And that's your ceasefire from the Aardvarks right there. And you can see right here, Courtney Bonanu reporting there on the ground, and a summary of Aardvarkland attacks on Lebanese territory as of today. And you could see airstrikes, and it just goes, I'm not even going to attempt to read all these, but in the south, you could see quite a few strikes. They're in Bakwa. Oh, there's only 4 there. I'm sure that's a ceasefire. Drone strikes, artillery shellings, all these different locations. They're in southern Lebanon. It's quite a list. Quite a list for a ceasefire, wouldn't you say? Aardvarkland military orders residents of 5 more Lebanese villages to evacuate. Aardvarkland Army's Arabic language spokesperson, they put out this: nearly 100 villages in Lebanon fall under Aardvarkland forced displacement orders, i.e. ethnic cleansing. Here was the message. They're in Arabic, essentially leave or die. So I guess we should thank them for at least giving them the chance to leave, and they'll probably still shoot you in the back as you flee the bombing campaign there in southern Lebanon. Aardvarks kill 6 in continued attacks on Lebanon, and we continue to report here they're destroying the public health infrastructure. They're targeting firefighters, paramedics, doctors, nurses, all type of medical personnel. So they injure you and then kill anybody that could treat you for said injury, and then whack you along the way too. So it's a systemic campaign there of destruction of public health infrastructure of the Lebanese. All this has not gone without an answer from Hezbollah. Lebanese government, though, on the other hand, says, well, there's ceasefire, bro. Not so much with Hezbollah. Hezbollah announced 5 operations earlier today, and they've announced a bunch. And before that, there was, 7 operations? there's just a lot of operations here. I can't even keep track of them all, launched by Hezbollah in response to Aardvark land bombing campaign on Lebanon. All sides are hurting. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. We know they won't, though. Aardvark land confirms 19 soldiers killed by Hezbollah. And so all sides are suffering horrific casualties, injuries. Everybody is going to have severe psychological damage, as you get from being in a war. And it's quite horrific. It's all quite horrific. Since March 2nd, 2,951 Lebanese have been killed and 8,988 injured in ongoing Aardvark land bombing campaign on Lebanon. Netanyahu says Aardvark land now controls 60% of Gaza. And so Netanyahu stated that Aardvark forces control 60% of the Gaza Strip, indicating the military presence has expanded further into Palestinian territory beyond what was outlined in the October, quote, ceasefire agreement, which literally means nothing. It's a made-up BS for headlines. There is no ceasefire. In the past 2 years, we have shown the entire world what mighty forces are embedded in our people, in our state, in our army, in our heritage, Netanyahu said during a Jerusalem Day event yesterday when they did when they're trying to provoke the Muslims to attack them for desecrating their holy site, the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And we covered that yesterday. He went on to say, we brought back home all our hostages. That was literally a made-up propaganda deal. They don't give a damn about their own hostages. But they played that one out for a while as an excuse to keep the genocide going. He said, we brought back all our hostages up to the last one. That's why they carried out the Hannibal Doctrine on October 7th, 2023, because they care so much about their own people. They literally murdered them to increase the body count and to keep them from being allegedly taken hostage by Hamas. Under the U.S. brokered ceasefire, Aardvark land forces were expected to withdraw to the so-called yellow line in Gaza. However, Netanyahu's remarks mark the first official confirmation that the military footprint has expanded following recent reports that Aardvark land troops had advanced toward a new so-called orange line. So they just keep moving the goalpost, or in this case, the yellow line to the orange line, to, hey, you're whacked and drowning over there in the sea. And we're trying to figure out, well, we don't even dig you out from the rubble anymore, your body, because they use that disintegration weapon, right? So, yeah. Netanyahu says IDF targeted al-Haddad in Gaza, Hamas's military chief. So they're saying they whacked this dude. And then here is today is day 215 since the Gaza ceasefire. In the 7 months since Aardvark land cabinet and prime minister approved the Trump brokered ceasefire agreement, Aardvark land forces have violated it nearly 3,000 times, according to field monitoring by the Palestinian side shared with mediators. Yesterday alone saw 5 new ceasefire violations, including strikes that killed 4 Palestinians and wounded 7 others. That's being reported by Drop Site News, and they go through a list of all the different violations here. Still blocking aid entry. 37% of humanitarian aid has been allowed to reach the Palestinians. There, the Rafah crossing to try to flee the genocide is blocked as well. They hem and haw about who can actually even be able to flee here now. Ongoing violations. Aardvark land continues to hold approximately 34 square kilometers beyond the agreed to withdrawal lines and has blocked repairs to electricity, water, and sewage infrastructure. They're in Gaza, and same routine. They blow up their entire public health infrastructure as well. Any first responders, firefighters, police, doctors, medical, EMTs, nurses, everybody, they whack them all. And over 260 journalists reporting on the genocide, they whack them too. Nakba Day. Palestinians across historic Palestine and around the world today mark the 78th anniversary of Nakba, Arab for catastrophe. Nakba refers to the mass expulsion of some 750,000 Palestinians from their homes in 1948 by Zionist militias. Over 500 Palestinian villages in what became Aardvark land were destroyed. New figures released this week by the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics show that the global Palestinian population has reached 15.5 million. Some 7.4 million live in the historic Palestine, while 8.1 million live in the diaspora, including 6.8 in Arab countries. Palestinians have long described the Nakba not as a single event, but as an ongoing and continuous process of dispossession, apartheid, and violence. In the Gaza Strip, the death toll from the Aardvark land genocide has topped 72,700, with thousands more missing under the rubble. Nearly the entire population of Gaza has been displaced since October 2023. Many of them multiple times, and are living crammed into less than half of the enclave, with Aardvark land controlling 60% of the territory. The occupied West Bank, over the same time period, more than 40,000 Palestinians have been displaced and over 1,000 killed by Aardvark land soldiers and ultra-Zionist settlers. Here's 75,000 worshipers arrived at the Al-Aqsa Mosque to perform a prayer. I'm surprised this didn't kick off something even. I'm surprised this didn't kick off a bunch of violence, honestly. But there they are, as Ben Gvir yesterday was trying to provoke a violent response from these Muslims by, again, desecrating their holy site there, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and doing these Talmudic rituals there, literally poking them, provocateuring them to do something. New Aardvark land airstrikes there in Gaza City. In the last 24 hours, kills 3, injures over 20, and they whacked a car. We got video of it. Yeah. And it goes on. The genocide continues. The toll from Aardvark airstrikes on residential buildings and a car in Gaza City earlier today has risen to at least 7 killed, including a child, and dozens wounded, according to a report out of Al Jazeera. And they're on the ground there reporting about it. 3 Palestinians were killed and 30 wounded. Aardvark Land Finance Minister Smotrich and Religious Zionism Party leader, carries both those titles, Smotrich. Now he said the next stage in the settlement revolution must be the cancellation of the Oslo Accords. Yesterday on Jerusalem Day, I said at the Merchaz HaRaz gathering that while our enemies rise up to destroy us, our Zionist response must be decisive to continue developing the areas of our homeland in Judea and Samaria in a way that guarantees Aardvark Land's security for generations to come. This week, I placed on the cabinet table a detailed plan to transfer strategic areas in Judea and Samaria from Area A and B to Area C, and I call on the Prime Minister and Cabinet to implement it. This is an important step to not only for the residents of Judea and Samaria, but for the entire state of Aardvark Land. Only in this way will we prevent the next massacre that they stage up. He went on to say, we will continue to effectively kill the idea of any Palestinian state and the establishment of a capital of terrorism in the heart of our country. More from Smotrich. He said the shekel, and for everybody, just give you an old Smotrich here, one of our favorite ultra evil villains there. Smotrich, right? And it's all in the, I got something called my throat language, or I play the clips. It's an English translation. Let me just read you the transcript here. Now, out of the Clash report, Smotrich went on to say the shekel, the stock market, high-tech, foreign investments, the job market, the falling deficit, the declining inflation, above all, the building of land everywhere, there is enormous development momentum. The land of Aardvark Land is giving forth its fruits generously because the redemption is drawing near. I thank the Holy One, blessed be he, for the privilege and for the part that I have in occupying this great sign of redemption. They believe they're fulfilling their prophecy to bring about their Messiah by carrying out all of this genocidal behavior, because they're hell-bent on building that third temple now, aren't they? Ben Gavir, Mr. Final Solution, Mr. What kind of sick psychopath puts a noose on their birthday cake? But this guy does it, right? Ben Gavir. Him. Ben Gavir went on to say, many enemies have changed throughout the generations, the Romans, the Nazis, today Hamas and Iran. But one thing remained constant. Everyone tried to destroy us. There's something people noticed that wasn't quite right that these guys are up to. Aardvark supremacy, anyone. They're hell bent on it, more just as much as any other horrific supremacy group out there. These guys are leading the charge, you see. Ben Gavir went on to say, we are in a period of divine assistance. They're being helped by demons, they think, or their God. We are in a period of the beginning of redemption, and we simply need to keep going and keep going without stopping. Talking about genociding all of these Palestinians and stealing all their land, and Lebanese and Syrians, and they're going to go into Jordan if they think they can as well. There now. They're on a mission from God, their evil God. More from Ben Gavir. He said, we need and we have the right plans to encourage immigration from Gaza to promote immigration in the West Bank to settle in Lebanon. We must not be afraid to face all the pressures, all the enemies, all the wicked. You see, the way they see it, everybody opposing their apartheid state are wicked. Video out of the march yesterday, Jerusalem Day march. Aardvark walking by the shrine of the Virgin Mary in Jerusalem and spitting on it. Here's the video of that. And so we're just supposed to say it's wonderful. We love being disrespected by these ultra-Zionist fanatical maniacs. There you go. Spit right on the... There you go. Catholics are supposed to love this. You're supposed to love this. And if you're a Catholic out there, you're supposed to love this and love the golden Trump statue, or you're a damn terrorist, you see. This one, I'm not even going to show you the video, but ultra-Zionist psychopath settler in the West Bank, there's video of him beating a dog with a club to death. That's who these people are. I guess it's better than him beating a kid to death. You know what I mean? But pretty damn sick, twisted, and psychopathic. And I'll post the video on the Weaponized News Substack, the link to it. You can go see it. I'm not even going to show it here because it's so disgusting. Guys, a dog is chained up there, and he's literally beating it with a club to death. And we're supposed to say they're the good guys. They're not the good guys. They're not the good guys here now. And I'm not bad or wrong for saying that. They're evil. Killing people and stealing their stuff is immoral and wrong. And it's our right to say that, man. That's all the news we got for today. Let's take a look at the headlines. Did we kick off a major bombing campaign since we went live here on Iran? It doesn't look like yet, maybe. Headlines out of Iran: international markets rattled as Trump's China trip leaves Hormuz deadlock intact. Yeah, we won the war. Khomeini's in charge. The Strait of Hormuz is locked down. So, yeah, hashtag winning. Lebanon accused Iran at UN of abusing diplomatic immunity. That's pretty laughable. Don't they all? Don't they all? Hormuz gives battered Iran room to wait out Trump. Russian envoy taunts Trump after Iran nuclear remarks. Nothing major there. Let's take a look at Al Jazeera latest headlines. Let's see here. Lebanon aardvark land extend nominal truce. It's literally laughable. They're blowing up. Talk about a puppet government. I mean, Lebanon is it. They can't even say that, hey, you guys are stealing all of our land to the Litani and displacing, ethnically cleansing the Lebanese. They can't even say that. They're such puppets of DC here now. And we wonder why Hezbollah is always all pissed off. Well, right there is a perfect example why they're always all pissed off. Oh, and they're being shot at and attacked constantly by the aardvarks. That could do it too. But when your own government is like, yeah, nothing to see here, and you're like, dude, they're stacking bodies. They're literally demolitioning, I don't even know, to the Litani, and they're even saying they're taking land past the Litani River there now. They're like, no, we don't. What? It's a ceasefire, bro. Like, and we wonder why we have the damn terrorist Hezbollah. Well, I wonder why. Because somebody, at least they're saying, hey, you're not just going to run us all over, steal all of our land, and whack us all, and we're just going to not do jack. We're not all puppets of DC over here. You know what I mean? It's incredible. It's truly incredible that they call this a ceasefire. Oh, man. All right. Let's go to the channels here. That's all the reporting I got for today for you guys. The economy is, the domestic economy here in America is in the freaking tank. And Trump admits that all the nuke talk out of Iran is just PR propaganda. And he admitted in that CIA Sean Hannity interview that we started this war for aardvark land. Oh, yeah, and for our other allies. Wink, wink. We already knew all this, but now it's all admitted. And they'll still lie out of the other side of their mouth in the rear end and say, yeah, well, the nuke program. Oh, my gosh. Now, BS, man. BS. Stop buying these lies. Stop buying these lies, people. I know our audience knows better, but man, tell your friends, family, neighbors, and acquaintances we are getting royally fleeced and effed over by this whole program. And Trump and his insiders are profiteering handsomely. The rest of us are left out here, hung out to dry, and they're pissing off the world to the point they feel like they're going to bomb D.C. Well, they don't got nothing to worry about. They're building a bunker. The rest of us are out here hung out to dry because these freaking traitors sold us out a long time ago. All right, friends. Thank you for tuning in on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Over to the Odysee. Thank you guys for tuning in on Odysee, keeping that chat going. Gurr, Deep, John. Thank you guys for chatting it up over there. Let's see. John says, we still have not been provided an honest casualty count. I agree with you, John, because they're still saying 13 dead U.S. soldiers. I don't believe that's accurate. And the injuries are not accurate as well. And they keep lying out both sides of their mouth about the military assets as well. So just a wall of propaganda and lies coming out of the Trump administration and the Department of War in regards to the actual death count, injuries, and freaking blowing up U.S. bases in the region, right? I don't even think they know how to tell the truth. It's like against policy to tell the truth. The policy is to lie to the American people that are paying for all this insanity. Gurr says, pro-aardvark Tommy protest in London tomorrow. Yeah. Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. He was a great UK patriot taking on the Muslim grooming gangs there, right? And all that is bad and wrong that they're doing there. But then turns out he's funded by the Zionists and propping up aardvark land. Like, what? Yeah. Sad enough, old Tommy Robinson there has turned out to be a aardvark land shill. Let's see here. Danger. Shout out to Danger over there. Let's see. Deep says, pretty funny how everyone knows what's going on, but no one's doing their jobs. Stop paying. Yeah, we should stop paying for this. Does everybody know what's going on? I don't know. I hope they do. I hope they do. John says, no drug investigations regarding aardvark land. Ecstasy comes out of labs there and is shipped to Amsterdam for further dilution. Oh, yeah, well, they're the good guys, as we know. If Trump is not removed from office, we may take the title from the aardvarks. John said, yeah. Does anyone still believe that Trump did not know? Yeah, about, well, he says, save the world with the bat miracle, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe he was tricked. He knew exactly what he was doing and brags about it in everybody's face. And then all the shill apologists make excuses all day. Give me a freaking break. Give me a break. Congress, Senate excuse themselves every Friday. Mark Crispin Miller, Aardvark lists the week's deaths that were likely, caused by the miracles. Yeah, I'm on his list. I see it. And so you see all these celebrities that people know their names of that have all these different problems because of it. Imagine the Joe Blows that nobody knows, right? How many of them? Millions. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in on the Odysee, X, Bitchute, Kick, Substack, YouTube, and Rumble. Let's go over to the I'll scroll about halfway up here because there's quite a few comments. Shout out to everybody on the Rumble and YouTube. Let's just start with John Q on the YouTube says Lebanon should have never let in Hezbollah and they would be doing fine. Really? That's pretty laughable there, John. That's pretty laughable. I'm glad you have a humor on this Friday. They'd be doing fine. There would be no pushback at all, and they would still have all their land stolen. And because there's a greater aardvark land project to build, come hell or high water. As we continue to report here, Chantal says this war in Lebanon didn't just start. It has been going on for years and years, over decades. There's been ongoing fighting. What just started is they said, we're taking all this land to the Litani River. Okay, they've never made that. They've never carried out bombing campaigns like this either on southern Lebanon. Shout out to the Rumble chat over there. Chloe Strong. I think Strong buys a spammer, but anyhow. Fat Bob, of course. Thank you for tuning in here, Fat Bob. Fat Bob says, hell, I suffer from PTSD because of all this nonstop madness. We're all victims in one form or another. You're just crying about it all day like the aardvarks? No. Let's see here. Let's see there. Let's pray for peace. I see that. CB on the YouTube. Yeah, let's pray for peace there. Let's pray for peace. Snow says Nakba Day today, the original sin. Yeah, we covered that. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. You have absolutely no idea what the Bible says, my friend. Well, I'm not claiming to be a preacher on here. Am I? No, I'm not. Snow says their God is the flood God, by the way. Genocide was his thing. He is evil. Mm-hmm. I got to agree. False prophets of the New Living Bibles have helped destroy the Holy Ghost of Jesus Christ, Stephen said. Yeah. It's called the Schofield Bible there. So, these Christian Zionists are helping destroy the Holy Ghost spirit of Jesus Christ. You better believe it. Let's see. Oh, A-Dub gave us a $5 donation. Thank you very much, A-Dub, on the YouTube. Let's put that up there on the screen. Super chat from A-Dub. Appreciate it very much there. Did footage take my comment down? I'm not taking any comments down. Yeah, shout out to Mac. Ruckus said it could be something else, on yesterday's show. So, yeah, we don't know. We don't know, honestly. I don't put it past them, lifetime censoring people in the chat, but it could also be some technical glitch or because they're always updating, changing, putting new buttons, how the processes work on all these tech platforms. And a lot of glitches do happen. You know what I mean? That is a thing as well, but hardcore censorship is a thing as well. So it's hard to tell, really. They say, Al, vote for Massie in Kentucky. That's going to be a telling race. They're throwing in $20+ million into a primary. It's ridiculous. It's freaking ridiculous. Yeah, why do Americans let all this 1.2 trillion go to aardvark land? I don't know if that's the accurate number, but yeah. Why are we giving all this foreign aid to countries carrying out genocide? Good question, because that's a U.S. foreign policy. All right, friends. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. What does Alan say? Unfortunately, everybody knows Trump is stupid, dishonest windbag. Apparently not Republicans and MAGA supporters. They love it, apparently. They love being lied to, conned, and ripped off. I don't know. Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs for those people. Let's pray for peace and that maybe they would see things for how they really are and stop believing all the lies and propaganda and screaming at your Democrat liberal friends and look at the government as a whole corrupt entity and stop letting the divide and conquer tactics win here now. That would be nice. All right, let's pray for peace, friends. As always, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Friday evening and weekend. Let's pray for peace and hope they don't kick it off heavy with Iran again. There's a lot of reports that everybody's gearing up for the next round, and that's not going to be pretty. So let's pray for peace. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday for more Weaponized News.